Why are so many dogs suffering from health issues? Actress Katherine Heigl, who's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation, says she's seeing more issues with dogs' joints, odors, and health than ever before. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to support any dog's health: their food. So she decided to create something she could actually feel good about feeding her dogs. It's called Superfood Complete. Superfood Complete is made with over 30 of the healthiest ingredients on the planet, including several superfoods vital to your dog's health. Badlands Ranch also sponsors the Jason Debus Heigl Foundation, which has helped rescue thousands of dogs and place them in loving homes. Dogs across America are trying this food and experiencing amazing health benefits. Go to badlandsranch.com/save50 and order right now to get up to 50% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you want your dog to experience all these incredible things, go to badlandsranch.com/save50 today.
Welcome back to another episode of the Girls Stop Playing podcast. It's your favorite homegirl, Coriel, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. You already know that I'm bringing you the information and the conversations to help you make the money and get the honey. You can have it all as long as you are willing to work. And today, as always, we have a phenomenal working woman joining us on the pod. I have the pleasure of introducing you to Dr. Trudy-Ann Frazer, who happens to be a pediatric dentist, but she's not only a pediatric dentist, she is my baby's dentist as well. So I am super excited to welcome you to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Coriel. I am so thrilled to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to get into this conversation. For those of y'all who follow me on Instagram, y'all know that I have been on this deep dive, like discovering as much as I possibly can about health and wellness as I prepare for my 40th birthday next year. Okay, shout out to all of the 85 babies out there. So I'm on the road to 40, and I've been down these rabbit holes on all things health, all things wellness. And one of the deepest rabbit holes that I found myself in is this whole dental rabbit hole. I did not realize, Dr. Trudy, how important your oral health was in relation to your overall health, and just how, if your oral health is off, then literally it can disrupt so many other things. And it can really have an impact on your overall well-being. So I would love to, before we get into that, before I like rattle off these questions, I would love for you to just share what made you decide to get into dentistry. Is it something you knew that you always wanted to do? And how did you decide to go the pediatric route?
Okay. Why did I become a dentist? Well, let me open firstly, because everybody that's listening to this is going to be like, wait, you promote that you're not just a dentist. So we'll start from the beginning because I always speak in my biggest, one of my biggest messages on my platform is that you don't just have to be one thing. So yes, dentistry does pay the bills. I'm super thankful because I'm able to walk in my purpose and my platform as a dentist, but I'm doing so much more. So dentistry started because of my love for actually talking. I love to talk. I love to educate. I love to coach. I love to have people in just a moment of just intention. Believe it or not, as dentists, I feel like a lot of us need to go the psychology route, because I tell people 90%, if not 95% of what I do is actually mental. It's mindset, it's habits, it's how you show up. What are you showing up as? How are you smiling? What does that look like? So I started my path into dentistry wanting to connect with others on a different level, not just showing up and speaking to them, but being able to benefit them mentally, but also orally. I actually wanted to do a lot more mission work that I'm doing, and I'm gonna start doing that more. When I went on my first mission trip in undergrad, I realized the medical side they were doing, and no shade against our medical counterparts, because I do believe that we work together to promote overall health. But a lot of them were prescribing pills and doing things like that. But I wanted to see instant gratification. And I'll never forget this older lady that came, and the dentist that I was working with was able to extract her tooth, and she kissed his hand. And she was so elated. She said, "You don't understand, I've been in pain for months. And the painkiller stopped working. All the other things, the oral gel that I was using wasn't working, but you were able to help me get out of pain." And I want to help people, in this case, kids, get out of pain. But what I realized is sometimes that pain is also mental too. So we'll talk about that transition later on. But it all started with a desire to serve others, for instant gratification, but also to be able to talk to people and to meet people. I've never met a stranger. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity.
I love that. One of the things that I feel like is like a stat or a quote or something that everybody knows is just like the fear that people have when it comes to going to the dentist. And I'm pretty sure that statistic is based on adults. So I cannot imagine, what the numbers are for a child, going to a dentist, this foreign experience. And I can see where the coaching or the mindset has to come in to literally coach people through this frightening experience. How do you handle that part of it? Because I could just imagine that's difficult to, I can't even be the one, I didn't bring my son to the dentist. I don't do medical procedures. I don't take them to get blood drawn. I'm not doing any of that because I am a coward. My husband has to do that. So I can't even do that for my own kids, but you are literally the person on the other side of this frightening experience for all of these patients. How do you navigate that part of the job?
Ooh, that is such a multifaceted question. The first step is to recognize that I have not one, but I have two patients. I have both the parent and the child. So the first thing when I meet a new family is connecting. Yeah, I walk in the room and I connect with the child. Like, my personality is big. There's no secret. I show up big. So connect with that child based upon what they need in that moment. But the second thing to do is to connect with the parent. Sit down, talk to them, get to know their name, where they're from. So that's the first thing, and just having those shoulders come out of their ears and just breathing. Kudos to you, as well as other parents that realize that I am not the one to take my child, because 90%, the number may be higher now, but research shows that if the mother, maternal anxiety, 95% of that anxiety transfers to the child, because mommy's scared. So, and mommy is my superhero. She's my comforter. If mommy's scared, I'm scared too. And unfortunately, as adults, when we're afraid, we say things to comfort the child. But a lot, "Oh, baby, don't worry, they're going to give you the shot, but it's not going to hurt." Don't worry, the needle. I actually call the needle the bad N word. I'm like, "Mom, we don't use the N word here." Because the kid doesn't have the emotional intelligence that the parent may have to say. The adult may say, "You know what, I'm scared, but I'm going to sit still." The kid goes, "I'm scared and I'm going to scream." I've had kids run out of the office and go sit in the car, and we couldn't. It was an 8-year-old boy. I'm not picking him up. He's bigger than me. So we rescheduled that appointment. So that being said, the first thing is to recognize, one, which one of the parent needs to bring the child. A lot of times the parent that has the least amount of fear is the one that I recommend bringing them. And two, if it's a procedure other than a cleaning, I always recommend the more assertive parent, because in this moment, yes, they need comforting. I can do the comforting, but what they need is the parent that's going to push them and say, "Yes, baby, we're scared, but we're going to do this scared." So that's two. Being aware enough to recognize I can't do this. So let me commend you first of all. Yes, yes. So knowing your limitations. The second one, it's a case by case scenario. But I think one of the biggest things is building that rapport, whether it takes 1 or 2 visits, so that I have your trust. You know that we are on the same team. And our goal is the same. Our motto at work is creating a generation of children that love going to the dentist. So yes, it can be a scary experience, but debunking that, taking off that fear and saying, okay, yes, this is scary for you, but it doesn't have to be scary for little, let's call her little Ashley today. It doesn't have to be a scary experience. So it's all about the mindset initially. And then, of course, it's my job and our team's job to make this the most painless experience and the most pleasant experience. And believe it or not, Coriel, I've got lots of patients that are like, when I grow up, I want to be a dentist. I get videos all the time from parents, and they're like, Dr. Trudy-Ann, your labor is not in vain, because my child looks up to you and they see themselves in you. So
I
it's
love it.
multifaceted, but those are like the two things that come to the top of my mind.
So it's like, forget Doc McStuffins. We got real life Dr. Trudy-Ann right here who you can aspire to. I love that so much. That's one of the things, I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the reasons why I just have not been able to leave Atlanta, because the ability to see Black women, Black people thriving in every layer, every level, across the city, it's something that, I love that my children are exposed to. So I love that. And I know that you serve more than Black children, I'm sure, but you know my audience. I know who I'm talking to here. So I
That's
love
okay.
that.
Yeah.
That they can look to you and say, this is something that I aspire to be, because I've seen someone who looks just like me in this position. What is the recommended age? We're going to get all the dental questions out of the way, and then we talking business, and then we're going to get into business a little bit.
Okay.
But what is the recommended age to start bringing your child to the dentist? And then any other like little known tips, tricks, secrets, misconceptions, things that you can share with parents out there, specifically moms, because that's who's tuning in, that they should know in terms of oral health for their kids?
Yeah, so I love that question because it's a common misconception. And when I say that to people, they're like, what do you do? What is that appointment about? So please, 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 if you don't take anything from this interview, take that the golden age is 1. 6 months after that first tooth. Coriel, we are big on preventing cavities because, believe it or not, a lot of fear doesn't come from getting your teeth cleaned at the dentist. A lot of fear comes from having a mouthful of cavities, multiple dental visits, the discomfort and the pain that you could experience. Well, guess what? I think, and I know to be true, that if we could prevent those cavities, if we can prevent those infections, we could prevent so many people from having dental anxiety. So why not start at age 1, 6 months after that first tooth, the little teeth that come in down there, they pop in the mouth. How do we take care of the teeth before we have to take care of the cavities? So we have a beautiful appointment. I'm building that rapport that we talk about, that we established, that dental home for years to come. We're talking about prevention, how to brush their teeth. So some of the kids are screaming and the parents are like, well, I don't want to traumatize them. It's not a traumatic experience. You realize we never say the kid is screaming for a poopy diaper. I don't want to traumatize them to change that poopy diaper. But when it comes to teeth, unfortunately, we have a different mindset. So I coach the parents to change that mindset. Think about the teeth as a dirty diaper. It's a dirty mouth. We got to get it clean. The same way you got to get that diaper changed, kicking and screaming. So I go through different techniques on how to hold the child, what type of toothbrushes to use, what type of pacifiers to use, how do we prevent that open mouth? I call it the goofy look with the open mouth. How do we prevent that? Things like that. So it's anticipatory guidance is what we call it. What do you anticipate in the next at least year? Because the second visit is typically at age 2 because the kids have more teeth then as opposed to the first 2. But we want the kids' teeth to get brushed before they go to bed. We want to go to bed with a clean mouth. I'd say if there's one thing that I have the parents take away from that first visit is we want to brush the teeth and we want to go to bed with a clean mouth. No more milk after that. No more breastfeeding after that as much as possible. And I also coach mothers on how to wean the child. I love breastfeeding and I promote it, but there's a skill behind, because a lot of moms are like, I want to stop, but I don't know how. So it's a twofold thing, the mommy and the baby. So we go through all of that in that first dental visit. It's more than just about teeth. It's about the overall wellness of the child. And a lot of times it's the wellness of the mother too.
So one. Okay, so my baby needs to come see you because he's 18 months now. I thought it was two. So listen, I'm learning stuff here with y'all. So I definitely need to set up an appointment for my baby. You mentioned breastfeeding. One of the things on my rabbit hole that I saw was the sugar content in milk. So
Mm.
having that sitting, in your child's mouth, because you think if you're nursing, or at least I didn't associate sugar being in my breast milk like I would giving my child juice. I just didn't associate the two. So I'm sure there are moms out there who think that they are in the clear because they're doing is nursing. But that's something to be mindful of as well. And then this is what really got me, Dr. Trudy-Ann. I have always thought about sugar. We know sugar causes cavities. That's what is preached to us. Sugar causes cavities. In
Yes.
my mind, sugar was candy. So as long as I'm not eating candy, I'm good. And me personally, I'm not a candy eater. So I'm like, I'm good. But I've had cavities consistently my whole life. It wasn't until literally this year, going into this rabbit hole, that I realized carbs, the starches that were literally sitting on my teeth, turning into sugar, causing these cavities. And my mind was blown.
Mm-hmm. So I love that. I'm excited for you because you know something that a lot of people don't know. Let me revisit that breast milk and that breastfeeding conversation, and then we'll transition, because what you just brought up is actually one of the three things that I want to emphasize after transitioning from the 1-year-old visit. So the breast milk does have some sugar. It is a low percentage. But what I like to say is that the breast milk is like a glue. So a lot of kids aren't just solely breastfed by the time they're age 1. So before 1, they're doing a lot of breast milk. There are no teeth in their mouth. They're fine. Once those 2 teeth pop in, we're breastfeeding. Now the breast milk does have a low concentration of sugar in it, but it serves as glue. So it's not the breast milk itself, or not just the breast milk itself, but it's also the other foods that we're eating. So now the breast milk is sticking to the teeth and the food is sticking to the breast milk. And then it forms this whole process of cavities. The youngest kid I filled a cavity on I think the baby was 16 months. Once you get a tooth in your mouth, you can get a cavity. So yes, at age 1, you can get a cavity, which is why we want you all to come in so much earlier. We want moms, dads, families to come and form that dental home at age 1 so we can help prevent. Now, after that dental home is established, there's some different tips and tricks. So there is a small genetic component, right? There are people out there that typically have weaker teeth. It's a couple different I don't want to call them diseases, but defects that can occur in teeth that you can be born with, and that genetically predisposes you to have weaker teeth. What does that mean? Yes, there are people out there that can have weak teeth, and you'll be more prone to cavities. But the majority of us, it's our habits. It's what we eat. It's what we drink. It's not just what we eat and what we drink, it's how we do it. So if you think about it, I love the fact that you start with carbs. And I have this whole course coming out, 10 things I wish the dentist told me. I'll focus on a couple today. And 3 of them is I'll start with sparkling water, and then we'll talk about the carbs. So an acidic mouth lends itself for an environment where the teeth get broken down. So if you think about it, I was in the pool last week with my neighbor, and she was like, my son keeps getting cavities. That's why sometimes I don't tell people I'm a dentist. But she was like,
Everything
help
turns into a
me.
consultation.
She's like, help me. My son keeps getting cavities. And I was like, you know what? Let me just help her. What is he eating? So we were in the pool, and I told her, I used the analogy, what if we were sitting in this pool, and instead of it being chlorine and water, what if this was acid, and we're constantly bathing in acid? What would it do to our skin? Enamel is the hardest substance in our body. It's harder than bones. It's harder than like anything that is in your body. Enamel is the hardest substance. So if, just like you been in the swimming pool of acid and your skin shriveling up and eventually getting broken down, that's what happens with our mouth, where we're constantly eating. So we're frequently snacking. And it's not just the frequency, it's what. So anything other than, I would say, vegetables. So our simple carbs, our rices, our pastas, our whatever it is other than vegetables that we're constantly putting in our mouth. Every time we eat something other than a vegetable, the bacteria in our mouth produces an acid. So imagine now I just drank some water, right? Water neutralizes the mouth, but then I go to eat. Now my mouth is acidic again. So if we're constantly eating or we're drinking that Coke and we're sipping and then we stop and we're sipping and then we stop, our mouth is constantly like that swimming pool, acidic. So what I tell families is, some kids are picky eaters, some adults are picky eaters. Substitute some of those carbs. So instead of rice, do cauliflower rice. So that's a vegetable. Instead of pasta, maybe we try some, Chickaboo makes a chickpeas pasta or a spaghetti squash pasta and put the same sauce on it. And some kids still don't like it, but most kids, if you make it the same way you make the other stuff, they'll eat it. And then the little secret sauce that I have is get some plain water and drink that. And then that will bring down that acidic mouth. So try to reduce the snacks, but if you can't, at least try to drink plain water after you put anything in your mouth. Transitioning from that, let's do non-sparkling water. You love how they market it to us? Bubbly water, sparkling water. It's acidic. The pH of that water is carbonic acid. And they say carbonated. They don't say carbonic acid. I bet you if I picked up a bottle and instead of Retreat, it said acid water, we wouldn't drink it. But that's what the bubbly, sparkling, fizzy, I don't even know, vitamin water, like all that stuff is acidic. So we're thinking we're doing ourselves a good service, but actually we're doing a disjustice. And it's not our fault. It's how it's marketed to us. Vitamins and minerals fortified.
Listen, the way that these labels be lying and legally, it needs to be examined. It is absolutely outrageous. And I had no idea. So
The third thing
definitely.
I have for you, my little secret that I tell families, is the gummy vitamins. It's gummy. A lot of times the teeth are very groovy, the chewing surfaces of the teeth. So those gummy vitamins stick in the grooves, and we give them every day. They stick in the grooves. And we know Ashley doesn't like you brushing her teeth. She's fighting. So even if you're able to brush it out really well, it's that gelatinous, like you're going to hear that Jamaican accent, that sticky substance. Let's keep it simple. That substance that's staying in the teeth, and eventually it stains. And then you give it to them again, and then it starts to break a hole. And you're like, my kid doesn't eat candy. How do they have 4 cavities? They're like, oh my God, I thought I was doing a good service. The gummy vitamins. So I always recommend those good old school Flintstone crunchy ones, or
Mm.
a liquid version, and then just drink water afterwards.
Listen, this is what sent me in a tailspin a decade ago, was when I realized that these things that are labeled in the best, that are labeled to be so healthy are usually worse than the replacement, than the things that they're trying to replace. But it's all psychological. That wording,
It
that
is.
marketing, it's
It is.
it's just all about money. Oh my
It
gosh.
is. So I recommend, I always tell people, last dental pointer is to choose pick non-sticky stuff. So I tell the kids, I'm not a no candy dentist. I'm a no sticky candy dentist. So pick, the acronym stands for popcorn popsicles. Those are safe. They dissolve. Ice cream dissolves. Chocolate, that dissolves. And I had a kid say, what about Kit Kat? So how about K? Chocolate, pick non-sticky stuff. So those things dissolve. So they're the lesser of the two evils, of the evils. So
Got
the
you.
kids they're gonna get candy. They are. But at least we can pick the ones that dissolve and they're less likely to give them cavities, and just drink water, plain water after that.
Okay, what is the truth about these teeth falling out? Because I've also heard parents with the opinion that these teeth don't matter because they're going to fall out anyway. Like, what's the facts behind that?
Yeah, thank you. You're bringing up some good things. They're baby teeth. They're gonna fall out anyway. Yeah, but the front ones fall out at 6.5, 7. I have some 8-year-olds that still have their baby teeth in the front, but the back teeth are the important ones. Those molars in the back, those baby molars, they don't fall out until they're 12. So if they get a cavity at the age of 2, and you're like, they're gonna fall out anyway, they're gonna fall out in 10 years.
Mm.
And cavities double, especially the ones that are holes, they double in size in 6 months. So you have layers of teeth. You have the enamel, which is that, listen, God bless us. He put the strongest thing at the beginning to combat what we were going to do. So the enamel, but sometimes we break it down by what we eat. And then the dentin is the middle part. And then the pulp, which has the nerve on the inside. So if the enamel is broken down and 6 months later, that cavity goes to the dentin and that breaks down, and 6 months later, it goes to the pulp. Or some kids, they're so cavity prone, it doesn't take 6 months. I can see a kid 3 months later. I'm like, dang, this cavity grew fast.
Mm.
Because if it's a whole, food is just packing down in there and the bacteria is just growing and multiplying, and then you end up with this huge hole. So a lot of times they end up in pain because it went from the enamel to the dentin to the nerve, and now you're in pain, and then you're rushing to the dentist. So I get the kid that's 4 or 5, and we watch this cavity get bigger and bigger and bigger, and now they're hurting. So they're in my chair, and now I have to not just calm their mental anxiety. Now they're anxious because they're in pain. Heck, if any of us are in pain, it hurts. We don't.
Mm.
Mm-mm. So
Mm.
pain and anxiety go hand in hand. So it's almost like a cycle. So in order to reduce your dental anxiety, go to your dentist every 6 months. Follow the recommended diet. Work on the flossing and the brushing at home. Think, man, I'm gonna do this. 'Cause I want nice teeth. You don't just want pretty straight teeth. You also want healthy teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Because those infections, unfortunately, it can I've seen it. It can spread to the brain, it can spread to the heart. You end up with facial swelling, you end up in the hospital, all from a dental infection. I don't
So
want to.
that was one of those things that I wanted to tap on just a little bit as well, even though I know, well, it doesn't necessarily only happen with adults, obviously. But what are some long-term impacts if you are not taking care of your oral health, like extreme things? I mean, I've seen,
Mhm.
I think a couple months ago, they said, someone had a heart attack, because they had a oral infection that they hadn't
Yeah,
treated,
you're talking
root
about that
canal got
football player.
reinfected. Right, right, right. So what are
Yeah.
some of those, hopefully not so extreme things, but things that we probably wouldn't even recognize could be linked to your oral health if you're not taking proper care?
So the most extreme thing, you did talk about that. It unfortunately is very sad. It can lead to death in adults or children, and children. What happens is the bacteria, it goes from your tooth into that nerve, into that pulp, into your bloodstream, and our blood flows everywhere. So if that bacteria travels in your bloodstream, and it can go to your brain, or it can go to your heart, yes, it can cause severe issues like death. And it's unfortunate that children, especially, I mean, I don't want adults to pass away, but when children pass away, I'm like, dang, they had no control over this. So death is probably the most severe form. But infections do lead to severe pain. I had a friend call me last week. I was at a wedding, and her husband was in so much pain. And she said he's tumbled over in pain and he couldn't move. So I guided her through that. She's like, the antibiotics is not working. Okay, it's time for you to, this is an ER visit at this point, because you don't just need oral antibiotics. You actually need them to set an IV so that antibiotics can go straight to the site of the infection and not have to take time and break down by your by your stomach, in essence. So pain, excruciating pain. Um, Other ramifications of dental infection: gum disease, losing your teeth. You know, when you see those puffy gums, the swelling red gums, a lot of times that's bacteria, that's acid, like all those infections that can occur in your gums. Yeah, it causes bad breath. It causes you to lose your teeth prematurely. Those people that are missing the bottom teeth, or you see them moving like that. It started as gingivitis. It started as puffy gums, and then it transitions from puffy gums to what's called periodontitis. That's when it affects your bone, and then the bone dies, and then the teeth don't have anything to hold them in, so then the teeth get loose. hmm So there's so many different things. I'll say this, Cariel. I know you talk a lot to pregnant women or mothers. So a lot of times, as a pregnant woman, that bacteria, if it gets into your bloodstream, it can affect the baby, and you can go in premature labor. because that bacteria from the mouth, from your gums, can actually spread to, because your blood flows everywhere. You can't prevent the blood from flowing. So what people don't realize is a lot of diseases start in the mouth before they start to manifest in other areas of your body. Diabetes, yeah, it manifests in your mouth. So that's why that 6-month checkup is so important with a dentist.
And so, two things in terms of the pain. There was like a thread where someone asked, like, what's the worst pain you've ever experienced in your life? Aside from childbirth. I think they were like, what is up there with childbirth? And hands down, my wisdom teeth, that pain, that might have been worse than childbirth. Like, I think, and they had ended up like getting infected, like all kinds of things went wrong with them. But I can attest to the fact that a mouth pain, that can take you out. So curled over in pain, I can absolutely imagine that. And then the pregnancy part, I literally have had, well, with my first pregnancy, I had a tooth like literally fall out of my mouth during pregnancy. And that took me down a rabbit hole of realizing like just how these babies are literally sucking all of your nutrients. And if you are not taking proper care and being proactive, then yes, these children can absolutely jack you up.
Yeah, the hormonal changes affect your oral changes. Like the hormones, the different hormones elevating or reducing, it affects your oral health. But your dentist can help you mitigate that, or they can help you come up with a different routine than what you needed before. Maybe you need to come in every 3 months so that you can help prevent teeth from going bad, or help control your gums and how swollen they're becoming.
Is there anything that can be done once a cavity has formed, or is filling the cavity the only option?
That's a very good question. So it depends. You remember earlier we talked about the 3 levels of your teeth: the enamel, the outer portion, the dentin, the middle portion, and the nerve. Once the cavity gets to the dentin, and we talk about cavities like they're only in teeth, like it's a cavity in the sense of the word. Like if we talk about a cavity that's not in your mouth, we're talking about a hole. So it's a hole in your mouth. If that hole is very small, or if it's a very surface level hole, like it has not broken through to form a true large cavity, there is a medication called silver diamine fluoride, and it can either slow down how fast it's going, or it can stop it. We call it arresting it. And you can put that on there. But that is for very superficial surface level cavities. How I describe it to parents is, when you get your nails done and you get the clear polish on top of the colored polish, like the purple, the pink, if that clear polish has a tiny little defect in there, you don't throw the whole nail away. It's still fine. It's still hard. It's like that. If you have a very tiny surface level crack cavity, like very small, you can use silver diamine fluoride, and that can help stop it or slow it down. Now, the only downside to silver diamine fluoride, it turns the area dark. It does. It turns it dark. So I typically don't use it on front teeth. I typically use it on back teeth or in between the teeth. Now, some dentists use it, some dentists don't. I am a pediatric dentist, and I pride myself on being a conservative pediatric dentist. So if I do have a kid where either it's the first cavity, we're trying to slow it down, or if they have 10 of these, but they're so small, I recommend using that if the parent consents to it, and flossing. Because if we're not flossing and removing the food from in between our teeth, and we're constantly putting acid in our mouth all the time, there's no medication that's going to stop that, because our habits are going to supersede what we're actually trying to do with the medicine. So it's a comprehensive thing. But there is that SDF, that silver diamine fluoride, that is an option. So talk to your dentist about it. You might have an option to do it either for you or your child.
So in order to combat your fear of going to the dentist, you got to go to the dentist. You got to go to the dentist to prevent you from having those painful appointments, those cavities, all of those things. That is a true reason to be afraid. Whew. Okay.
Can I add to what you said? I love what you said, but I'm
Please.
going to add one word to it. Go to the dentist that you trust.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue. Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.
Trust.
That makes a difference.
That you trust. It makes you a difference, because I've had families where everything I say, they second guess it. And I'm like, it's rare, but I've had a couple where I'm like, you sound like you want to get a second opinion. And 9 times out of 10, they come back, they're like, they said I had 20. I'm like, yeah, you do have a lot, but remember, we're only going to fill 4 of them. They're like, yeah, they wanted to fill all 20. I came back to you. So go to a dentist that you like, know, and trust. Mm-hmm.
Super important, especially, I mean, we have this conversation all the time in reference to pregnancy and like advocating for yourself and knowing your rights and all of those things. But it's way beyond just pregnancy. It's your whole, your well-being, and especially the well-being of your children. You want to make sure you are in the care of, and your children are in the care of, someone that you can trust, because it's way too much craziness out here. We have to be able to be informed so that we can advocate for ourselves. So I love that. We'll definitely make sure, for anybody who is local to Atlanta and wants to bring their babies over, we'll make sure we put your practice info down below. But I want to get in your business just a little bit, because as you mentioned at the beginning, you are so much more than just a dentist. But one of the parts of your story that I'm really want to dive into, because I think it's going to be so therapeutic and helpful for other women out there, professional women who have experienced or could currently be experiencing burnout in this current state, the economy, the job market, people relationship, just everything post COVID. It feels like we are just in just like a loop. It's like we are just trying to figure out what we're doing. A lot of people are losing their footing. A lot of people are losing their employment, their businesses are literally not fulfilling them anymore. So I would love to hear what your burnout looks like, because I think burnout comes in some different flavors sometimes. So I would love to hear what your burnout looked like, and then how you've been able to kind of pick up the pieces for yourself and help other women do the same.
You said that so beautifully. Burnout looks different for everybody. And Coriel, my story started actually pre-pandemic. My story started, or my journey to figuring out what burnout was. I didn't have a word for it, because nobody was talking about burnout as much as they're talking about it now. But I found myself in a toxic job. It's not this job, but it was another one years ago, where I could not show up. Everything I did was corrected by upper management. Everything. I mean, it was, I try not to relive that moment because it was so emotional for me. Like, I was not able to be Dr. Trudy-Ann and provide the best care that I knew, because I was being suffocated. So I was in a toxic work environment. And then when I got home, I've since remarried. We celebrated our 1-year wedding anniversary a week ago.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. I've since remarried, but my first marriage was toxic. I dimmed my light so that my ex-husband, what I thought he could shine. I was almost trying to help him borrow my light. But what I know to be true, and what I know for sure now, is no matter how dim I turn my light down, unless that person knows themselves, likes themselves, and does the inner work for themselves, nobody can borrow my flame. Like you can fan your own flame, pour into yourself, fill your own cup. But I almost wanted to give my ex my flame so that he could realize, dude, you're a hero. You can shine too. You don't have to be jealous of me. You don't have to try to suffocate me, in essence. In any case, it was toxic. Toxic at work, toxic at home. And I started to have panic attacks. I didn't have words for it then. I would wake up, oh my God, it's 3:00. I got to go to work. And I look next to me and it's like, oh, here comes negative Nancy. I just could not escape. And I found myself, we'd moved away about a year after this started happening. So I left that toxic job, but I was still in the toxic marriage. And I'll never forget the day I was on the bathroom floor, bawling my eyes out, trying to figure out how I got there after a conversation with my husband, my ex-husband, when he said, I'm not the man for you. I can never be the man for you. And I was like, no, yes, you are. I can help you. I can teach you. Teach you what? I can only provide so much. And I was bawling my eyes out, trying to figure out how I got there. I was so unhappy at work. I was so unhappy at home. I was unfulfilled. So I tried to do all the things I knew how to do. I tried to apply to go back to school to become an orthodontist. So I'm already a board certified pediatric dentist, but I know how to do school. So my default was, well, go get another degree. I was like, I'm going to be a pediatric dentist and an orthodontist. Go get another degree. Then I tried to get therapy. But what I did not know was that sometimes you have to vet different therapists.
Listen, a bad therapist is worse than no therapist.
Oh my gosh. And this woman just, God bless her. I felt worse going to her with my ex-husband than when I wasn't. Everything was my fault. Well, why you went through his phone? Wait a minute. Pull me to the side and say, sis, what's going on? Why are you insecure? What's going on with you? Instead of in front of him saying, yes, you're so right, and just pounding me down. It was a hot mess. Anyway, finally, the rubber hit the road, and he looked at me and he was like, unless you move out, because we were in Texas at the time. He said, unless you move out, I'm out. Here I was again on the bathroom floor. There's something about me in this bathroom floor, bawling. And my mom says it. She said it so well. Two things. What's for you can be unfor you. I can't force anything. What is for you can be unfor you. I cannot be more Trudy so much to where you can become more of yourself. I cannot pour into you. I'm going to be so empty. If you're not showing up at least half filled, bro, I can't do anything. I can't pray this marriage into working. Like, it takes two to, I know that's conflicting for some people. That's going to be like shocking. Like, oh my God, I do believe in prayer. I do believe in God, but it also takes two people to dance. I need to be praying and working on self, and you need to be praying and working on yourself too. And then I think God is like, all right, y'all, come on. I can't pray so much and pray for this. Look, the second thing mommy said is we do not stay married for show. You are not about to be sleeping in the next room and he's sleeping in the basement and you're toxic. You're not going to be able to show up as the best version of yourself living in toxicity. And I know I'm speaking a word.
I'm on mama with a word.
I'm freeing somebody right now. But I had to go through it, and I had to have at least one person. For me, I had two. It was my best friend and my mom at the time, supporting me, saying, Trudy, you can make it. Coriel, I was sad. I'm smiley. People are like, are you always happy? No. But I love to smile. It's the joy. The joy of the Lord is my strength. But when I say I was sad, I won't diagnose myself as depressed, but I was sad. It took so much to get out of the bed. It took so much to eat. I was eating like one meal a day. I was just so sad. It's like my light was out. My flame, my God-given flame was out. And I moved back home. I came back to Atlanta. And God bless my parents. God bless them. Because they were like, baby, I can't relate to you. There's some things you're going through that we can't relate. They've been married for 45 years. They don't know this. But whatever they did, whatever they could do, they did. And that's provide a roof over my head and food on the table while I could sit in my mess and talk to God and say, God, I know I prayed for this, but I know you've created me for so much more. What is my more? I couldn't pray myself out of it. I started going to therapy. I vetted 4 therapists until I found one that I kept for about a year. And God bless Sylvia. I love her. I started talk therapy, and I really, the therapist didn't fix me, but she was the mirror that I needed. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I like to say that I was in a hole. I was digging myself into a hole. I found myself into a hole, but a therapist provided that shovel that I needed. So they're not there to fix us, but they give us coping strategies and tools and mindset shifts, and they help hold our hands while we're digging ourselves. We have to do the work, but they provide those skills that we needed. Now I'm going to stop because I know I see it in your eyes. You got some
No,
things to add there. I'm going to
no,
stop right there.
Listen, I was gonna let you go. I was gonna let you go and get it out because baby, you was coming with the quotes, you was coming with the gems from mama and son. That was a message for someone. I want to though go into what made you say, okay, it's not enough for me to find healing. Now I want to help other women do the same, because I know you host retreats where you're literally guiding other women, out of the hole. You're giving them that shovel. So what was that turning point where it's like, okay, now I have something to share? Because I think sometimes there is so much shame and guilt around the things that we go through that, okay, I can help myself, but I don't want to tell anybody what I've been through. I don't want to look like I'm not perfect, like I don't have it all together. So what was that moment that made you say, okay, I can help other women, and then share, a little bit about the retreats so that they can be a resource for someone watching this?
Absolutely, Coriel. So I went through about a year of the beginning of my healing journey. And I like to say it's a journey because there's no like a place of arrival. I'm still healing. In fact, I'm no longer having sessions with my talk therapist, but I now have a trauma therapist. I'm doing something called EMDR. So I'm at a different stage of my healing.
I've literally been Googling that like crazy this last week. So confirmation. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw a plug out there for Ashley. We can put her information here, but she's in Georgia. She's certified to do EMDR in Georgia. So I'm healing. We have big T's and we have little T's. Some of us have big T's, big things that shook us. Some of us have little T's that add up, that still shake us. So Ashley is helping me work through my little T. In any case, I started my journey. It took a year. I went through the talk therapist. I went through my my trainer. I had a personal trainer then, because what I found was at work, my mental stress was manifesting itself physically, and I was walking around like this. When I speak about these things on stages, I say I look like Shrek from the movie Shrek. I was literally walking on dates in my little cute kitten heels, but I was in so much pain. I could not turn my head to the right or raise my hand over my shoulder because my pain was so bad. So first I went to physical therapy, and she helped me. She would dry needle my shoulders. Then I transitioned from physical therapy and I got a personal trainer because I needed to not just stretch the muscles, but I needed to strengthen them. And one thing led to another, a chiropractor. I just needed a team. I call it my wellness team. I needed a team that could pour into me. I needed to prioritize myself so I could show up well. What I learned after I started to talk about these things is that women were out there suffering. People are out there suffering, but they're suffering in silence, whether it's due to a lack of knowledge. For me, I didn't have verbiage. I didn't understand what burnout was. There was not a whole lot of things out there about ergonomics and in this case, in dentistry, about how to sit. Like, I had to go and search for that, but I needed some tools in order to start my search. Well, I believe that no man is an island. And if I'm suffering, somebody else is out there suffering, and they may not know. So I compare myself to maybe your general practitioner on the medical side, where you go to your primary care doctor and they say, okay, I'm not the specialist in this. I'm familiar with this, but let me guide you to people who I know this is their level of expertise. So I keep saying women because most people that come to my retreats are women. I told myself one day I'm going to have a co-ed retreat, but right now the focus is women, and there's no age limit. I've had the youngest one come to my retreat that was, she was 30, and the eldest woman was 68. So there's no age difference. Like there's no age requirement. But in any case, I serve as that initial, hey, I'm struggling. I'm on my bathroom floor. I'm in pain. I'm hurting. I'm in this toxic relationship. Whatever it looks like for you, whatever that burnout. I love that you said that. Whatever that burnout looks like, or even the start. Or some people come to say, I don't want to burn out. I want to be well. I don't want to ride past the vitamin aisle in the grocery store and then run to the store when I'm in pain for a painkiller. I want to stop at the vitamin aisle. How can I do these things to fill my cup so that I don't show up depleted? So that's really what our retreats are for. So we do things to help regulate our nervous systems. Korea, our nervous system, I don't know if it's social media, if it's the instant gratification, it's the demands at work, it's the demands at home. Our nervous systems are so dysregulated. So learning things like, I didn't know what breath work was. I heard about yoga, but I grew up in a very conservative religion. And they were like, yoga's bad. You're worshiping these idols. Well, what I realized is, what if I stretch? What if I do these yoga positions, but I'm not focusing on all these other things? But when I'm done, 15 minutes later, I'm like, that feels good. Can I feel good without worshiping the devil?
Please.
Right. So there's so many different tools. Everything it's not a cookie cutter thing. So everything works for everybody, and it does not require an hour. It's little things added together that create a large impact. So that's what we do at our retreat. I'm eventually going to start a coaching program, because what I found is that the women come to the retreat and they feel good, and a week later they're like, but I'm back in the same place.
Life came at me fast. Like I got home, I settled back in. You are absolutely right. Because you come to these meetings, these conferences, these retreats, and you get filled up, but you're not full forever. You know, when you get back home and so-and-so starts getting on your nerves, when you get back to work and those deadlines starts rushing in, you have to maintain. It has to be a part of your daily routine. So I love that.
Yeah. Yes. So
So
the
for
next
people
retreat,
watching this who want to go ahead. I think you were about to answer my question.
Yeah. So the next retreat, I had a lot of people. The one this year was in March in Jamaica, and I had so many people go, "Oh my gosh, I can't make it to Jamaica. Can you do something local?" So the next local one is November 7th through the 10th. It's a Thursday through a Sunday in the North Georgia mountains. So it's not an international retreat. It's an easier flight if you're not local to Georgia to come, and it's women only. We have about 4 slots left. So it's filling fast, and I'm so thankful that the word is being spread, and that we, especially as women, hold so many hats. We wear so many hats, and we give so much, but we put ourselves last. But what I'm learning is that COVID unveiled the mask, and now people are like, well, dang, I need to put myself first. I need to fill my cup first. It's not selfish to do that. Because if I'm empty
And
and
it's
I'm
not just a
depleted,
quote. It's not just a quote. You literally cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot. It's impossible.
Well, we are, but we're not showing up well. People are not getting the best versions of ourselves, and we're not giving ourselves the best version of ourselves. We're pouring empty, and it shows.
It's not sustainable. It's just
It's
not
not
sustainable.
sustainable. And then you break down and you're like, dang, how did I find myself here?
You on the bathroom floor. You're going to be on the bathroom
You're on
floor.
the
So I
bathroom
love your
floor.
analogy about the vitamin. Like I'm going to take my daily vitamin so that I can avoid that prescription down the line. I love that. We'll definitely make sure we put the retreat information. I mean, by the time they see this, those slots are probably going to be full, but we will make sure we put the retreat information in the episode notes, so that even if they can't make it in November, they can at least, sign up for your wait list or stay connected with you, so that they can, find out for future retreats, your course, and all of the resources that I know you're going to be rolling out. Tell the people though, Dr. Trudy, where they can find you. If you want to share your practice information for people who are here in Atlanta, you can do that as well. Any contact information so that they can stay connected.
Absolutely. So if you have wellness questions, dental questions, retreat questions, I actually have my bottle here. I'm going to show it off. It's my Rejuve Retreats, and it's short for rejuvenation, Rejuve. In essence, you can go to rejuveretreats.com, or you can find me on Dr. Trudy-Ann on Instagram or Facebook. That's DrTrudyAnn, Dr. Trudy-Ann, my first name. In terms of the practice, I am at pediatric dentistry at Vinings, and it's on the west side of Atlanta.
And we will link all of that down below. I have so enjoyed this conversation. I learned a lot. I know that everyone tuning in, they got some good gems. Like we had some good girl talk, but they also got some really helpful information. If you learn something here that you did not know, I am encouraging you. I am challenging you. I am imploring that you send this episode to a friend. Okay. Share it with a sis. Make sure that you are subscribed to the pod. Leave a comment below and let me know something that you learned. Follow Dr. Trudy-Ann, and I will catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Just go. That one? Oh. Oh, sorry. Okay. So if you enjoyed that episode, I'm willing to bet you are absolutely going to get your entire life when you log on to everybodylied.com. Y'all, I just launched my brand new blog, which is for women like me who are stepping into the newness of life. Okay. Your girl got engaged, got pregnant, got married, and became a mom all in less than a year, and life came at me fast. As life was life, and I realized that a lot of the things that I had been led to believe were a lie. Survey says that was a lie. And so I am sharing all of my lessons learned and what I have discovered to be the truth, along with some resources on my new blog, everybodylied.com. Come on over if you are a woman who is experiencing the newness of life. I'll see you there.